First of all, happy 4th of July, America. Happy Independence Day, 250th birthday. This is record number HJR 202693. This will be part 2 of the medical affidavit. I'd gotten up to paragraph 10 the other day. This is a supplemental medical affidavit. My index, I got the exhibit list, guarded disclosure from the DV incident on the 5th of May, just a little over a week before, fractured tailbone and all that. Correspondence with WRC, postponement, more hospital stuff, the Beaumont Hospital documentation request, sent it direct to Beaumont, sent that back. I'll probably get this a bit more say. So the guarded disclosure materials, that's, from the 5th of May, the correspondence with hospital attendance notification that was on the day of the hearing, that I said I couldn't go because I was in hospital, and they wanted me to send a request to Beaumont, so send it back. That's what they got. Then they said, no, we're canceling it. You need to have a doctor's note. You need to say that you're fit to do a hearing. And I'm like, wait a minute. Like, what about the evidence? Like, I just saw the footage 1 week before. So more GP, disability, examination, accommodation supports, all kinds of stuff here. Missing footage, about the footage that they just found April 8th. Hearing notes from the day. They said they couldn't adjourn. There was no mechanism to adjourn because of evidential issues. But then when I said, well, I have suicidal because of the situation. I'm suicidal on foot of this. Like, it's extremely depressing. Like, I've worked so hard to get to this point, and I've had such a rough life, and like, it's unbelievable. Like, it boggles the mind, Forget who it was. It says, if you're gonna, tell a lie, tell a really, really big one. Because if you tell a really, really big one, then people are gonna be like, well, Jesus, that's got to be true. How could they lie about something that big? I can't remember who said that, but yeah. All right, so I'll skip to paragraph 10 because I've got my info on this one. So. So I'd actually gotten to like 14 where I said, I say the overall context of the proceedings therefore involve both ongoing. There's medical difficulties, so I couldn't engage with the process because I was suffering. Just stress, I can't function, and it's just the overwhelming stress, I couldn't function. The unresolved evidential matters affected my ability to properly prepare the case. I couldn't get the evidence. The UCD's gatekeeping it because they know that they're liable. They won't give me the evidence. I'm stressed out. I don't get the evidence in time to prepare for the hearing. I in hospital for being suicidal. I ask them for a postponement, and they just say, oh, no, you need to get a doctor's note saying you're fit for a hearing. That has nothing to do with it. I'd be completely fit for a hearing if they would just, do what they're supposed to do. Just give me my evidence, follow discovery. So I say that on the date of the hearing, the 7th of February, I said I was in hospital. I notified and unable to attend and provide photographic evidence. I showed him a picture of my bracelet. You're in hospital. Like, what's the important thing here? The important thing is getting to the truth of the matter, But WRC, just as corrupt as UCD, when I went in there, they were patting each other on the back coming out of the back room, laughing in a group. And I was like, okay, well, wait, where's the adjudicator? Where's it? Oh, no, that's all one group it's all of them against me. All of them against us. So I don't know. If you want to be on the side of the corrupt elites, or if you want to, I'm not saying be on my side. I don't care if you're on my side. Just don't be against me. You can be on the side of the corrupt elites or not be against me. But that's your best two choices there, I think. So I further say that the WRC acknowledged the correspondence. They put on file. Then, after they acknowledged that I had the hospital attendance, then they requested more documentation. I forwarded that request to Beaumont to obtain the material requested. I sent it direct to Beaumont. Beaumont sent that direct to me. And apparently that wasn't good enough. And then correspondence of the 17th of February, they said the hearing had been canceled. A further hearing date would issue. And they also asked for medical documentation. But I sent them the bracelet, the medical bracelet. I sent them, they knew that there were medical issues from the first hearing because they adjourned it because I was unwell, quote unquote. And in fact, in the final dismissal, it says because medical difficulties, and well, it says I'm vexatious and this and that, but it also says, I think, something about medical difficulties as well. And they knew that. They knew I'm having medical difficulties, stress and anxiety, and having difficulty functioning because of this. But see, they don't want to actually adjudicate on it. They don't, because if WRC has a proper hearing on this, then UCD is fucked. And they are protecting UCD. They protect the elite at the expense of the others. So I sent that to Beaumont. I sent it back. Then they said, okay, the 17th, the hearing that was scheduled for the 17th was canceled. Another was issued in due course. But again, that was only 10 days later. So I still didn't have time to prepare the submissions. UCD, the case is against UCD. UCD is the one holding the footage. RDS is brilliant. Like, he'd hand me the whole, like, if there was no GDPR, if there were no issues, he'd make a copy and hand me the whole lot. Maybe be like, hey, you need a couple quid to cover the cost of this thing. But if there was no law against it, RDS would just hand me all of the footage that I requested, unredacted, everything. I would have absolutely everything. They would hand me all the emails. They would hand me everything. So when the people that actually have the footage and they see what's going on, and they are completely like, I did absolutely everything I can for you. And this guy saw all of the footage and saved all of the footage. And I'm not taking sides, I'm very unbiased. But when there's when you have seen all the objective evidence and there's a factual dispute between two parties, and you've seen the factual evidence, you're going to tend to be a little bit more biased against the party that's in the right, I would think, because they're in the right. As far as his job's concerned, he's doing absolutely what's required. He's not breaking any laws, not giving me anything that UCD won't provide for me. And he says UCD says they want to do the substantive response, so he must let them do it. But when the person that's seen all the evidence and is a neutral party, it clearly sees that I didn't do. Like I said, don't want to put any thoughts or words into his head or anything, but I'm just saying he's been very nice to me and he's seen all the footage. So, I don't think he would be that forthcoming with me and that prompt, and that, if he'd seen the footage and it had been UCD, if I'd actually ripped lanyards off and this and that, if I had done what UCD alleged in that footage, I don't think I'd be getting the same responses from him, is all I'm saying. So yeah, they said the hearing was canceled and there'd be another one coming. I was waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And September 26th, I got on meds because I couldn't find the notes from the day. Luckily, John found them just before the holidays, so I wasn't able to start getting back to work on this case. But anyway, so they said another hearing's going to issue. Requested medical documentation, but sure, I sent him everything I had, and it's trying to get to a hearing, trying to get to the truth of the matter, and get the thing adjudicated. Like, what does a freaking doctor's note have to do with anything? Like, I requested a postponement because I didn't have the evidence. Like, I was asking from the 6th of January, from literally the second one. As soon as I freaking heard about this, I was like, oh, no, this is crazy. And I thought if I got the footage, then everything would be fine. I had no idea. Like, I just had no idea that this is how things would end up. Even though when I was walking out of the hall on that day, I said, I was threatening the JR. I said, depending on how things go, I said, I'll do a judicial review on it. Don't think I can't get the 350 together. I'll do a judicial review. But I was saying I was going to get an appointment at the central office next week. And obviously you can't do a judicial review until there's been a decision, and you can't get an appointment at the central office in a week. I was just kind of blowing a bit of smoke there. But I was saying, look, like, I will take this to court if need be. I was just trying to threaten them a little bit with legal action, hoping that they would do the right thing. But no, they don't care. They don't care. They're protecting the elites at the expense of the rest of us. So yeah, I had no idea that they would not relist it, and it would instead result in dismissal without any opportunity to be heard. I had no substantive opportunity to be heard whatsoever. Other than I said, there's a factual dispute. They're like, well, these are separate things. No, that's all one thing. Just because I didn't get a specific technical medical certificate, like what the heck? I sent a request direct to Beaumont, sent the Beaumont request direct back. I'd send them a thing. It's just they want more and more, just requesting more and more. It's like the bricks and minifigs thing. They're just requesting more and more. Oh, well, you didn't send us this. Oh, we need to send us this. Oh, you need to send us this. Like, what the heck does that have to do with the case, with the fact that I was harassed and bullied? My Equal Status Acts case. What the heck does that have to do with that? Like, we can go forward and judge this case. Why are you trying to just get rid of me? Like, trying to make me jump through all these hoops in order for me to have to be heard. So yeah, I said I thought there further proceedings were going to be ongoing. Further procedural steps would follow, having regard to particular contents of their correspondence. My medical difficulties continued through 2025, obviously, and materially affected my ability to consistently manage correspondence, litigation, academic responsibilities. And I have listed the exhibits. Yeah, just when you're accused of something, your whole life, I'm autistic. You know what I mean? I've been watching LawTube for years. It was a friend of mine at the Direct Provision Center. She's like, because I was I forget which trial was on at the time right now. So that's why the Nicholas Mew thing. I was so excited to talk about that during the criminal defense exam that I got harassed and thrown out of, like literally run out of, harassed out of. Loads more right. Like, I love these trials. It's interesting. Um, and yeah, it was a friend of mine at the Direct Provision Center when I was a refugee. So why don't you get into law? I was like, geez, I don't know. And I was like, well, sure, I got to do something. So I just thought I'd do the Diffie course and be like a legal secretary or something. I never in a million years thought that my dream of third level education, of going to uni, like I never in a million years thought that. Like when they were talking about, oh, have you picked your CAO choices yet? I was like, no, I don't qualify. Oh, no, sure you do. I was like, no, I don't. Well, why don't you look into it? And sure enough, I looked into it. And like I didn't realize that I was going to college until like going to uni until basically, was it February when you do the CAO choices, or that January, like 2 weeks before I put the CAO choices in. I had no idea that I had the opportunity to go. And now, like, this is happening. Like, this is. Uh, yeah, obviously, medical records during 2025 reflect ongoing medical treatment, psychiatric follow up, increase in prescribed medication associated with difficulties referred to in herein, including increases in prescribed medication shortly before correspondence. My medication was increased on the 26th of September 2025 just to be able to function because I was so depressed. I couldn't function. Like, who could? You're being accused of these things and run out of school, and they won't look at the evidence, and you're like, this is crazy. Like, these same people, they've been harassing me. Oh no, don't we can't look into that. You don't have their names. Well, I do have some names on here. Oh, well, go here, go there, go there. They wouldn't do a single thing. And then, like I said, I find out there's about the Professor Braun case where she was harassed for 2 years. This professor was harassing this assistant professor, associate professor, whatever, and she's still there. So I'm guessing that they solved that internally. I'm guessing they said, just, you know what, we're gonna give you a good paycheck. We're gonna pay you, like, I'm guessing we're gonna pay you like 20% above whatever normal wages are for your position, and you get tenure. You know, unless you commit an indictable offense and you go to prison for so many years. You got tenure. don't don't attack anybody, and you get tenure. But even then, actually, no, you can attack people and get tenure. It doesn't matter. You can harass people as much as you want. I guess. So I'm sure she's got she's well set there. The medical student isn't happy, and I'm not happy. So the three big cases in the last 3 years, or the three major incidents of them covering up harassment in the last handful of years, only one is happy, and she's still a professor there, so she's getting a fat paycheck every year, and she doesn't have to worry about a job the rest of her life. I'm sure. But the medical student and myself, the ones that had our careers in front of us, yeah, neither of us are happy. So yeah, obviously that's going to cause some medical issues. Um, uh, so I do say that notwithstanding the difficulties, I continue where possible to take steps to progress matter connected to the proceedings and my academic obligations. The judge is saying that WRC can say, like, well, it just looks like she just disengaged. She, you know, and okay, well, I had no contact with the Workplace Relations Commission from February until November. That is correct. I did not message them. They did not message me. Um, they when they messaged me on September 30th, that was 4 days after I got put on an increase of anxiety and depression meds just to be able to function. Because the CCTV notes said chaotic home life, and I'd hid those somewhere because I wanted to keep them safe, and then I don't know where they ended up. And John found them just before Christmas, but then I couldn't work on anything then. So I couldn't work on anything till like just after Christmas, and that's when I was able to get this in. But yeah, so I contacted literally everybody, but even Lork and Mall had emailed me August 2025. So I had the fact that they would just dismiss the thing with no hearing, no opportunity to submit, no nothing. It just like, I mean, I should be expecting the worst at this point. But I'm still not. Like, I'm still naive, I guess. I'm just still. Um, so yeah. So contemporary medical records prescribe medical treatment, psychiatric follow-up, increases in medication, difficulty, so blah, blah, blah. Engaged in correspondence from March to August, relating disability accommodations, health and safety concerns, requests for remote participation, mitigation measures, medication documentation, extenuating circumstances. June and July 2025, I continued corresponding with the Data Protection Commission concerning access to CCTV and related evidential material. Yeah, because I was like, hey, and I saw the footage the 31st of January, 1 week before the hearing. The 5th of February, and I put in another data subject access request with the thing. They sighed when I took a picture of it because they didn't want, they just wanted it handwritten and to just disappear. They didn't want any evidence of they don't like evidence. They do not like evidence at all. They just want it her word against theirs. Okay, we're just rolling against them. That's it. They want one person's word against another. No evidence whatsoever. Nothing else. So yeah, I had taken a picture of that. Um, and on the 5th of February, they responded saying that they will be, that I'd expected to see more footage than I did, and that they will revert to me in due course. So here I am, waiting for UCD to come back with more footage, which they did. The 5th of February 2025 email where they said they will revert to me in due course and they'll look for more footage. They did get back to me in April of 2026. So that's 12 months. So 1 year and so 14 months later. It took 9 months from the incident to see the footage, to see selected clips of the footage. And then it took another 14 months after that for them to get a clip with the missing footage, some of the missing footage. And they're saying they're not going to provide me with every bit of footage from the exam. I don't want every bit of footage from the exam. I never asked for every bit of footage from the exam. I want the footage from the exam that includes me. From before I got there to when I left, it shows state of mind. I was sitting quietly, chain smoking, studying. Went in there. I literally talked to like nobody. I got like 2 cups of coffee. I talked to them. I know coffee. And the girl from the Bronx, a horseback riding camp I went to, there was a girl from the Bronx who said, "Bog coffee." But yeah, so I got a couple cups of coffee and barely said what I needed to there. I kept out of people's way. During the one exam, I thought it was at like 1:45 instead of 1:30 or whatever, something like that. And I went to use the loo, and I heard the thing, and I was like, "Oh Jesus!" I said, the person in front of me, I said, "I thought the exam was 2." She's like, "No, it's 1:30." I was like, "Oh, okay." So that was the most. That was just that was the most. And the student union, I asked the student union reps if it was okay to have my blue card or if I needed to get my passport that was in my bag, because I prefer to keep, passport like safe and secure as much as possible. But no, they won't show any of that because they don't want to show that like I'm super duper calm and relaxed. And meanwhile, there's these protests going on, and these guys are like, you know, getting scratched by guards at the Nancy Pelosi event, and the big protest that was on that day the exam was being taken, the big protests in Dublin and around the world. And a week later, the student union, they're being pushed down the stairs and assaulted at the university club, you know, versus me. I'm sitting out here in the country. I'm just being run out of school. I'm just trying to go in and take my exams and get an education, They don't want to show state of mind. Um, so again, evidence. If evidence, if they were, think about it, if they were in the right, wouldn't they just show everything and just here show the footage? You rip the person's lanyard off there. See, there you go, done. No, I didn't. One hand, and oh, the lanyard that was off camera. Oh yeah, anything allegedly that I did that was off camera. Like what the hell? And then what they did, I mean, you could see some of the harassment. And the day before, you can see, like, clearly, look, I returned the pen. I didn't storm off shouting and roaring. There's nobody. So, yeah, I basically contacted everybody but the WRC. And it was the Data Protection Commission that was able to get that missing footage, I think. Um, so, yeah, I say these steps were taken in circumstances where I remained affected by ongoing health difficulties, nevertheless attempting to progress matters insofar as I was able, as evidenced by correspondence and records. Further say, correspondence the 26th and 27th, 2025, I re-engaged with the respondent and explained I experienced significant difficulties affecting my ability to manage correspondence and respond in a timely manner. Because I got on the meds the 26th of September, they sent me a 15-day notice on the 30th of September saying I had to send them a doctor's note. 15 days to send a doctor's note or they're going to close the case. They could give a rat's arse about the evidential difficulties. They just are completely ignoring that. UCD did not mention considering CCTV until May 2025 in their decision letter. Though literally at the first I was like, oh my God, like you need to look at the CCTV. Like you need to get the CCTV. This will all be cleared up. Yeah, so I had to get on the medication. And then once the medication took hold, then I was able to start looking for the CCTV notes again, because that's why I hadn't prepared anything or submitted anything. I didn't have those notes from the viewing. And John was able to find them. Somehow they ended up underneath Christmas stuff. In fact, that was one reason that I'd stayed here, because I didn't know if the notes were here or if they were Christie's. So I kept going over to Christie's and looking for them. And I'd go here, and I couldn't tell him what I needed because, like, in a normal relationship, you say, I need this. And they're like, oh, great, you need that. Let me get you what you need. That's not our relationship. I don't tell him what I need because, yeah. Now I can tell him what I need, and he'll say, oh, if that's what you need, great. Let's get what you need, and then we can get on with life. But, yeah, things weren't like that at the time. So I couldn't actually tell him what I was looking for until just before Christmas, really. Basically, at this time period here. And that's when he found it. But yeah, so the 26th, I got on the meds, and I was looking for it as I was on the meds too, and then but I couldn't actually like get the check email, because it's every time I open the email, it's just more bad news, more bad news, more bad news. Like this is a normal court case where, even if they had, I don't know, there's nothing bad in this case, but like if I was representing a client and there's like bad stuff coming in about the client, like, ah, Jesus, don't tell me you did that. Ah, Jesus. I'm like, stupid people. I don't want to represent stupid people. And, a lot of smart people apparently do get involved in trouble, in legal difficulties. I mean, I'm smart. I'm in legal difficulties here. I need to use the law. But, yeah, if it was just a client where I was like, oh, Jesus, there's bad stuff coming in. Okay, now I got to deal with this. But when it's untenable, when there's nothing you can do. And it's just like, well, there's more bad stuff coming in. Nope, we don't have the footage. Nope, we're not showing you the footage. Nope, we're not going to hear you. Nope, we're not doing this. Nope, we're not doing that. It's not just like bad news. It's like there's no way forward. It's completely untenable. And I didn't have support at home, so and I don't have, you know, I don't have. It's I mean, who couldn't, like, who wouldn't be sent to the trucks, you know? I went to Bremore and like laid my head on the tracks. I mean, like the last time I was there, I just was afraid that I would jerk my head too quickly, like I would have some kind of reaction, and then the train would just come by and just knock part of my head off, and then I'd be in worse shape. So that'd be my luck. Now, like they say, if I didn't have bad luck, I'd have no luck at all, right? But no, God always takes care. Just always pray. Um, but yeah, so I actually went. I was going to get a noggin and come back, and um, so yeah. So like I said, medical treatment, medications referred. The communications were copied to the solicitor for the other party, Mr. Lorkenmall of MHC. Reflected that was August 2025. So he knew I was in contact with him. My continuing attempts to engage with the proceedings, notwithstanding ongoing health difficulties. I mean, I guess, like, the ethical thing to do. I mean, if it was the firm that I interned at, and there was a situation like this where we had talked to the other party a month before, and there was a hearing, like say September, we would have said, well, hey, I don't I don't think the other party disengaged. I think that they're still, like, I just talked to them a month ago. Or like, if in fair proceedings, you would think the adjudicator, the judge in the Workplace Relations Commission judge, the adjudicator, you would think that they would say, hey, um, I haven't heard from, we haven't heard from the applicant. I haven't heard from the applicant. Have you heard from the applicant? Oh, the applicant emailed you a month ago. Huh. Okay. What was that about? Do you think they're still trying to progress the case? But obviously, if it was fair procedures, they wouldn't, this wouldn't be happening to begin with. They would have just said, hey, here's the evidence, get your submissions, get your hearing, and we'll decide. Not like, oh no, we're not giving you the evidence. Oh no, you want a postponement? You're suicidal in hospital? No, you need a doctor's note. Oh no, you don't have the right. They didn't say doctor's note. You need to provide certification. Whatever they said, sent it to Beaumont, sent it back. Oh no, this isn't what we wanted. You need to send a doctor's note, or we're not going to schedule your. If you don't have a doctor's note and you don't say that you're fit and well to have a hearing and to prepare submissions, then we're not going to let you be heard. This is not right. This is not right. um, so I say medical difficulties weren't in isolation, were in the backdrop of ongoing evidential and procedural difficulties in the underlying complaint, including continuing issues concerning access to relevant CCTV material. Yes, if on the 6th of July, 6th of June, I said, I need that CCTV, I emailed for the CCTV, UCD got it back to me, I would not have been in hospital on February 7th. I would have been progressing the case. I was in hospital suicidal because I could not progress the case, because I'm losing my education, because I'm losing everything. I have nothing. I don't have family. I don't have children. I have nothing. I support the hell out of the cats and birds. They're not my cats and birds. The wild birds, and they're Hilda's cats. They're his ma's cats, They're not mine. I have nothing, you know? Yeah, of course that's going to make me suicidal. But I was in hospital because I was suicidal. I'm not never going to be fit to function as long as I'm not able to get justice. I cannot function. If things are progressing, then I can function. So, yeah, evidential matters unresolved to this day, evidenced by ongoing correspondence with UCD and the DPC concerning the data subject access request and CCTV disclosure issues, including matters relating to provenance, where to come from, completeness, why isn't it all there? Redaction, they had redacted for GDPR purposes when they sent the one to me. Preservation, RDS says that as far as I know, their CCTV, the contractors preserved everything. Processing records, that is relevant. I have a sneaking suspicion that UCD did not email RDS looking for missing footage. And they're saying that, so I have a sneaking suspicion that those emails do not exist, and that is the reason that they are not providing them to me. I believe that RDS provided UCD with everything, and UCD is the one choosing not to give me relevant footage. And that's why they are saying that we cannot give you emails, correspondence. Like, I've requested correspondence between UCD and RDS, with UCD requesting the missing footage. UCD says that that doesn't fall under GDPR because it's not relative to me. And the data protection rules only cover things that are in relation to me, that are relative to me. Excuse me, so you're saying, Dear RDS, we are looking for footage containing Ashley Denningham from the exam on the 17th of May for her workplace relations case and student discipline, which the appeal is still in, by the way, student disciplinary committee appeal, which the appeal is still in, by the way. They wanted to, first, they didn't want to let me, because I had submitted an appeal timely in the first place, but chaos, right? So the appeal was in there, and they forgot the appeal was still in there. So when I put, a full supplementary, get exhibits and actually do it properly, once I had a bit of calmness, a bit of stability, they said, oh no, well, this isn't timely. We can't accept the appeal. They didn't want to accept the appeal. They wanted the finding to stand as it was. Of course, that they found against me. They wanted me to do counseling, which I did that. Uh, they signed up for that, whatever. And they wanted me to write an apology letter. I said, no, I'm not writing an apology letter. Well, you can continue going to school, if you write an apology letter. If you don't write a letter, you're suspended. I said, well, I'm not writing a letter. So I was suspended. Well, then I get an email, in March saying, well, everything's going to be terminated. The account's terminated because you're not registered. Well, wait a minute. You said I'm suspended for 1 year. How can you terminate my email address and all of that? They kicked me out of school. So I said, you got to maintain the status quo while things in. But anyway, like I said, so they didn't want to accept the appeal in the first place. And then I forced them to accept the appeal legally, because the appeal was timely and all that. So then once they were forced to accept the appeal, then the ombudsman had actually rung me up. I was right there at the statue. So I had on speakerphone. So when I was at the statue at the field protest there were people there that were able to hear the ombudsman. So, like, because I was like, I want somebody else, you know what I mean? Like, I know this mom's freaking crazy. Like, it's like, who are you going to believe, like, some junkie was telling me that the cops beat her up, and it's like, well, yeah, obviously when they go into court, who are they going to believe? Are they going to believe the junkie, or are they going to believe the cop? Actually, I don't think she was a junkie. I think she was an alcoholic. But yeah, she's a nice girl. It's a shame. But yeah, who are they going to believe? So it's like, yeah, invigilators lied, and these people harassed me, and these people are, yeah, okay, yeah, she's a runaway. She's got, yeah, okay, whatever. So, so yeah, anytime I can, and that's why I'm putting this out here, because I'm like, it needs to be brought to light. This needs to stop. I don't know why people are on the side of the elites. They don't care. If you're not a D4 head and your father isn't like a judge or a senator, because guess what? If your father is like a freaking circuit court, or say a district court judge, and somebody's parent is on the EU, and they don't like you, well, you're going to be fucked. But I'm guessing if somebody's parent's a judge and the other parent's on the EU or whatever, the kids are going to be friends. Even, I don't know, there's people, even some people that like hate each other, they're still friendly. I don't get it. It's rich people problems. Poor people, if you don't like the person, you just don't hang out with them. But rich people, I guess they just kind of forced to associate among their own kind. So yeah, so obviously I was not in a position to make meaningful submissions prior to the 31st of January. And I'm still not in time to make meaningful submissions for the 7th. I said, notwithstanding medical difficulties, remain in communication with legal representatives, university personnel to support disability support services, and Data Protection Commission says demonstrates continued engagement with matters connected to the proceedings, notwithstanding impaired capacity to consistently manage litigation and correspondence, as evidenced by the materials exhibited herein. Like who could go on? It was hard to just keep fighting. Like what am I going on for? Like, and no kids, partner not being supportive, um, you know, like what am I going on for? Like why am I continuing to fight? Like I see these college kids everywhere, and I know that they're going to UCD, and like that's what I'm it's giving me strength because a lot of these kids are going to go to UCD, and they don't know. They don't know how UCD treats this. You would nobody really would know except the medical student and myself, and I'm sure there are countless others. Um, but if you're not unlucky enough to be targeted and harassed, then you wouldn't know. So I further say respondents' later correspondence and dismissal place primary emphasis on issues of attendance and medical documentation, without fully engaging with the broader procedural and evidential context in which those difficulties arose, including unresolved evidential steps and procedural accommodations contemplated within the respondent's own published guidance and procedures. Yeah, like, what the heck does a freaking doctor's note? Can we not just get on with the case? Like, what does a doctor's note have to do with WRC hearing? Like, can we not just get on with the case? Um, so yeah, and in fact, the situation like that arose here on the 20th of April. I was suicidal. There was another, yeah, and I was actually admitted, and I didn't know if I would have access, admitted to the psych ward for being suicidal, and I didn't know if I would have access to a cell phone or anything in there because I honestly thought that they took cell phones away, and I did not want to just not show up. So, because I was like, oh my gosh, if I'm in the psych ward and I don't appear in court, then they'll just dismiss my case, and then that's it, that's it. Um, so I was like, I sent an email just in case. And then the court office sent me back saying that I have to appear in person to get an adjournment. And I'm like, what? How, if I don't have a solicitor and I'm pro se and I'm in hospital, how am I going to appear in person for an adjournment? Like, I don't understand. And then they're like, oh, well, if you can't appear, then email this office. And it's like, well, that's what I did because I didn't think that I would be physically able to communicate with the outside world on the 20th. I wasn't sure if I'd be able to or not. And if I wasn't able to, like, I don't know. So the correspondence I sent to this court office was the same thing I sent to WRC. Photographic evidence of my hospital admission, namely a hospital. I took a picture of the hospital wristband with my name and identifying details. I mean, that was acceptable to the judge in the high court. So I don't know why that's not acceptable to the WRC. And then I sent the medical information from Beaumont. It just, like I said, it really seems like they're just trying to find a way to dismiss it. The Workplace Relations Commission. So hopefully this judge is calling UCD in on Monday. So hopefully she's looking to get to the truth of the matter and not just looking to side with UCD. So that was contemporaneous evidence. Let's see. As I further said, at the time, believed I might remain in hospital to be unable to communicate with the court. While I was ultimately discharged, matter was in any event adjourned. I say this demonstrates that my concerns regarding my medical capacity to attend proceedings were genuine and ongoing, as evidenced by the contemporaneous correspondence and hospital records exhibited. I further say attended my GP on or about the 13th of May and signed documentation requesting provision of medical records, and thereafter engaged in follow-up correspondence. So I went to the GP and I asked him, can you give me all of my, well, because first I wanted just, hey, can you, say that I've been having medical difficulties the last, since basically 1st of January 2025. Can you just say that you haven't been having some medical difficulties over the past year and a half? They said, no, we can't write anything retroactive. I said, okay, fine. Can I have all of my medical records from the 1st of January 2025 to date? And they had me sign something, and then, I don't know, must have been lost in translation. Geez, it's just, I don't know. I think they're having IT issues there because they didn't provide all the medical records. Um, and when I sent a follow-up email saying, hey, do you know when I can expect to get all my medical records? They said, oh, we don't know that you wanted them, or we thought you just wanted from the 13th, the Gregory Pitchick or whatever. I don't know. I think there's like technical issues because I had an appointment. It was actually, I think it was on that day. The appointment that day was out of the system. Like I spoke to, I believe it was Eilish in the morning, over at Strand Medical, and I believe that it was I had a noon appointment. I got the thing recorded. Um, Gotta record everything nowadays. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. Um, won't put anybody's info out there. Don't worry. I'm keeping everybody's info safe. But you know, uh, I'm not saying Eilish's last name. Don't know. Wouldn't say it if I knew it. But she's acting in her official capacity as a receptionist there. So I'm not saying she did anything wrong. She's perfectly fine. Um, but yeah, my appointment wasn't in the system, and then I make a request for records, and then there's no request for records in the system. So they're having some IT issues at my GP apparently. Um, but luckily, I sent a follow-up email because then I was able to get the records necessary. Further say that University College Dublin approved multiple applications by me for extenuating circumstances during the relevant period arising from the difficulties referred to herein, including applications reviewed and approved. So yeah, loads of extenuating circumstance applications. And yeah, so this is the medical affidavit. Matters set out herein demonstrate ongoing medical difficulties materially affecting my ability to consistently manage and progress proceedings during the relevant period, rather than any intention to abandon or disengage from the underlying complaint. I therefore respectfully seek that this Honourable High Court take the foregoing matters into account in considering the progression and procedural history of these proceedings. And Orla, yeah, she's brilliant. She's a real lifesaver. And yeah, absolute lifesaver. Register and to Mr. Lorcan. So I suppose this is long enough. I suppose I'll do the exhibits in the next thing. So there's the exhibit list there. All right, so that concludes part 2.